Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Not the show I had planned, that rhymes. Meant to be out tonight, meant to be watching Murder on the Orient Express. That didn't work out, but we are here to talk about Antoine Griezmann tonight. I had a pre-record ready. I'm going to fire into it. You can crack on with that with the live comments, and I will be back within about 4 minutes. I'm going to intermittently do live stuff in this show. But yeah, it didn't go to plan. But here we go. Welcome to the United Stand. I'll be back with you live in a few minutes, but let's give this a crack and see how it goes. Hello and welcome to the United Stand. Antoine Griezmann will sign for Manchester United. This is a deal that both parties will want to happen. Join in tonight on the United Stand. We are going to be talking about the January transfer window and what is realistically possible and what Manchester United need to do in January to turn this season around. Some people would say it doesn't need turning around. I'm not interested in the summer, I'm interested in January. I think Manchester United, Jose Mourinho, missed the boat last January. We sold Schneidlin, we sold Memphis, we got good money for them, but we didn't bring anybody in. And I think the enormity of what's required at Manchester United, regardless of whether you think Mourinho has been backed or not, I don't want to get into that argument again, but I think we can all agree on some common ground that Manchester United do need a lot of work on that squad, whether it's players going out or players coming in. And that is where I think last January we missed the trick. We didn't get players in, and I don't think we can refuse this January, because if we are, as some Manchester United fans feel, miles off the likes of Manchester City, we can't get it all done next summer, not in a World Cup summer. We need to use January as best as we can, and there are a number of players in key positions that we need to fill available in January, which I will be talking about in a minute. But let's start off with Antoine Griezmann to Manchester United. I think this is going to happen. Now, very, very hurt by what happened at the start of June. He was coming to Manchester United. This was a deal we were pretty much working on from this time last year, right the way through to the last minute in June when he pulled out. And he pulled out because of a moral issue in relation to Atletico Madrid and their transfer ban being upheld. Griezmann stayed, Manchester United didn't get him, and I think it's fair to say that both entities have struggled massively because of that decision. Griezmann, I think he's played about 13 games this season, only 3 goals and 3 assists, which is shocking for him. Atletico Madrid not doing so well, and Manchester United openly, obviously, factually missing a number 10 that would have been Griezmann in a number 7 shirt. Would it have been a match made in heaven? I think it would have done, but you know, we're not all time travellers. We don't know what would have happened if Griezmann was in a Manchester United shirt now. We currently sit in 2nd place. Would we be in 1st with Griezmann in there? You look at the last 4 games against Chelsea, against Huddersfield, against Spurs, against Liverpool, and the big problem with Manchester United in a creative sense has been creativity, and that is down to the number 10 not feeding our attackers. As I said last night, Suarez, Messi, Neymar, they could be our front 3. I bet Barcelona wish it still was, but they could be our front 3. But with Mkhitaryan at number 10 or Lingard, they're not going to get the creativity, and I think Griezmann would have provided that to us. So it's an interesting situation. Funnily enough, only yesterday Messi sanctioned the move, apparently, of Griezmann to Barcelona as long as they keep Suarez. I am convinced, and I will say it again, Griezmann will be a Manchester United player. He will wear the number 7 shirt and he will join Manchester United, but it will be next summer. It could happen in January. Some of you think it will happen in January. I don't think that that sort of a signing suits anybody in January, because it's a status signing. It's a massive signing. It's one you want to happen in the off-season, so you can build weeks around it. You can have big events around it. But Manchester United, beggars can't be choosers, they may push the boat in January. Now, I don't know the intricacies of the deal, but apparently, well, factually again, Griezmann's buyout clause reverted to 89 million, and I think it reverts to that in January, which is why teams like Chelsea and Barcelona are sniffing around Griezmann. But Griezmann's given one massive indication as to why he's coming to Manchester United, because in June he was coming to United, and that moral twang that he felt, that loyalty he felt to Atletico Madrid, forced him to do something that ultimately has affected an impact on his career and also Manchester United. This has not been a wise move by Griezmann. Staying at a club out of loyalty when your heart's not really in it has really reflected not Atletico Madrid's form only, but also Griezmann's. Football, high-level football, is all about fine margins. A 1 or 2% drop-off can make you look like a poor player, and that's what's happened to Griezmann. I think he's not focused on Atletico Madrid. He's not passionate about Atletico Madrid. He loves Atletico Madrid, and he stayed there out of love and loyalty. One thing that cannot be denied is that this guy talks a lot of sense. And as many of you predicted on the live comments, this is a pre-record. It was meant to be a pre-record tonight, and it's a very good pre-record, so stay tuned because I'm going to be dropping in and out during live. It was meant to be a pre-record tonight, but plans didn't go to plan. So as you can tell, there's a different hairstyle compared to the one that I'd recorded this morning. But in relation to the Griezmann thing, I am talking a lot of sense, and I do believe it will happen. Pogba's going to be back, by the way. I did mention that at the start of the video. And exactly, Andrew K. Griezmann is Bob the build-ups, hence the pre-record. Griezmann would be cup-tied. You're right, shoot neutrality. But I'm just dropping back in. We've got nearly 1,500 people watching. I've sort of set you a bit of a record if you can get 500 likes for us. But it is Wednesday night. And I actually hadn't even looked at this myself, so I am going to just quickly do it. The link is in the video description for this, so let's bing bang do it. Super Brew, link in the video description. How are you doing? You can sign up for the United Stand Super Brew. It is basically an English Premier League predictor game where if you are to predict 6 scores, you'll win a Manchester United shirt, 7 scores £1,000, 8 scores £2,500, 9 scores 5,000, 10 scores 20,000. But if you sign up through the link in the video description, you will go into the United Stand leaderboard, which has 2,500 people playing in it, and they do average out your score. We've got a new leader this week. It's Parjat. He's got 91.50. But of more interest, we're not really interested in who is number 1. We're interested in who is number 26, and his name is Goldbridge. And I've not been out the top 30 now for the last 4 or 5 weeks. I'm steadily in there, and you know what? Slowly, catchy monkey, and you know, I'm in biting distance of that top 1 position. Can you beat me? The link is in the video description. Sign yourself up. It's free to do it, and you can win a shirt, you can win a bit of money, and also you can get involved with it. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Link in the video description. Free to enter and have a bit of fun with United Stand in there. So let me get back to you. Hello, I'm back. I will be dropping in and out of this stream because, as I said, it was meant to be a pre-record because it was meant to be out tonight, but not. So I'll see you in a couple of minutes more. Let's get back to this genius, this bloke who knows a lot what he's on about. But his drive, his passion, his hunger probably was to come to Manchester United, and he's already given that big hint that he is a moral player, somebody who is loyal. And I think that Manchester United and Griezmann will have had a chat in June, and it would be very disappointed that we can't do it now, but stay with them and come to us in next summer, or as some people think, January. So I would be very surprised if Antoine Griezmann, a player who stayed through Atletico Madrid through loyalty, then decides to go to Barcelona or somebody else and not be loyal to the fact that Manchester United was the club he was going to sign, and he didn't come because of Atletico Madrid. Would I want Griezmann? Yes. I love Griezmann. I did love Griezmann up until June. I was very disappointed that he bottled it. But time's a great healer. 27 years of age he will be by the time he comes to United, if he does come to United. I think he's 27 in February. I would welcome him at Manchester United, and I think the Mkhitaryan thing, as I said last night, I think Mkhitaryan's going to be a flop. I do. I don't want that to be the case. I was very excited by the signing, but I think he will be a flop. I think Griezmann at Manchester United won't be, and I think he's exactly what we need, and I think he will come. If we could pull it off in January, I think it would probably be the most significant signing anybody's ever done in the Premier League in January, because he came 3rd in the last Ballon d'Or. He's a world superstar. So if to do that sort of a signing in January would be colossal. I think it's a next summer signing, but who knows? We certainly do need a player now. Now the fly in the ointment with Griezmann, and I don't think it would be preventative of Griezmann. And as we focus on January signings now, because let's have no qualms about this, Manchester United do need to do business in January. I agree that we need to do some business out the door, which we're talking about a swap deal in a minute, which I think may well happen, and you don't normally see swap deals. But in relation to January signings, there are a couple of players at Arsenal who are both out of contract in the summer. In January, they can speak to foreign clubs and sort out deals themselves. They can, you know, They could speak to Juventus and sort a deal out and then just finish out their last 3 months at Arsenal and join Juventus in the summer, or any other team outside of England. Those players are Mesut Ozil and Alexis Sanchez. Much the same as Fellaini at Manchester United, although I do think he will sign a new contract. He could talk to a Turkish club in January, sort his deal out, see his contract out with United and go for free. Would Manchester United... I've just realised I've been talking with no audio. That worked really, really well. That worked really, really well. So what I was saying is, would you want Ozil at Manchester United? Of course I would, because Mkhitaryan is about as useful as me as a number 10. Lingard is about as useful as a wet tissue at number 10. The reality is, we've all wanted to see Martial and Lukaku and Rashford as a front three. We saw it for the last 20 minutes against Chelsea and it failed. It failed big time because there's nobody supplying it. The number 10 is so important. The audio is back. Don't worry about it. So, yes, we need number 10. And it doesn't matter whether you've got Ronaldo, Messi and Neymar as a front three. If you haven't got a number 10, it may as well be me, Mad Marcus and Ross. It's as effective. We need a number 10. So I would bring Ozil in. Of course I would, 100%. And let's get back to this genius again. I'll be back in a minute. Don't worry, I'm here. Be able to get Mesut Ozil at Manchester United or Alexis Sanchez. In relation to Alexis Sanchez, I think he's going to go to Manchester City. I think that is going to happen. Which enhances a very good Manchester City attack already, and this is why Manchester United cannot afford to dither anymore. Because if Manchester City tie up Alexis Sanchez in the January transfer window, they're adding to the best attack in the league with one of the best attackers in the league, which is ominous. But Manchester United's problem at the moment isn't necessarily an Alexis Sanchez sort of player. He'd be very, very welcome. I'd be very surprised if we got him, but it could be done in January. Ozil, on the other hand, I feel is a deal that Manchester United may need to really force the issue with in January. And it'd be very hard to do, but the indication is that Ozil loves Mourinho and Mourinho loves Ozil, and Ozil would love to come and play for Manchester United and Mourinho. Would he want to do it in January? Of course he would. Do you want to be at Arsenal for the last few months of a contract that's coming down and getting a major injury? No, you want to be where you want to be. From Arsenal's perspective, he goes for free next summer. If Manchester United offered 20 million in January, Arsenal would be fools not to take it. If Ozil says, I'm going to Manchester United in the summer anyway, you may as well take 20 million and let me go. Arsenal might be pig-headed and not let it happen, but that would be stupid because you're turning your back on 20 million and any businessman should take it. Would I take Ozil at Manchester United? Probably a month ago, I would have been very, very curious about doing a deal like that. A month later, Premier League proven, we haven't got a number 10. I think if you dropped Ozil into the number 10 position for Manchester United at the moment, we probably would have a few more points than we have had over the last few weeks. So I think Manchester United need to force that issue with Ozil, and I think he would be perfect for Manchester United. But a lot depends on whether it's true that Ozil wants to come to United and Mourinho wants Ozil. But I think he would massively improve us. Also, what Ozil would do is, I don't think it would be the end of the Griezmann deal. I think Ozil in January, Griezmann in the summer would be two very, very positive additions for Manchester United and would drastically improve our creativity. Because if you think about it, Griezmann can play on the left and the right or at number 10. Ozil can play left at number 10, right at a push. They're two players that give us more options than we have at the moment, especially on the left-hand side and the right, I suppose. Because if you look at it, you've got Mata, who I think might go in the summer. You've got Martial and Rashford, who I don't really think are wingers. And that... Ooh, Goldbridge, you're trying to be so professional. Ooh, Ozil on the left. Oh, Griezmann on the right. Ooh, number 10. Let's be honest. Anybody at number 10 at the moment would be an improvement on what we've got. Don't fall into the trap of hating on Mourinho or Lukaku. The reality is we're not creating anything. We've scored... The brilliance of today is that Anthony Martial, you want to know what goal of the month was for Manchester United this month? Anthony Martial's miss hit against Spurs was our goal of the month for October. Do you know what that does? It totally tells us it's slim pickings United. We've got no good goals in October. In fact, in October, we scored 2 goals in 4 games. One was Rashford's against Huddersfield, which was a header from about a yard out. And the other one was a good flick on from Lukaku, which was miss-hit by Martial to beat Spurs. That is it. I mean, I know we did score goals in other games, but that just shows you about United at the moment. We're not creating enough chances. We need a number 10. Yes, Ozil plays for a bottling, spineless side in Arsenal. But you know what? If Manchester United have got any aspirations of doing anything, we cannot refuse this January transfer window. We've got to go and do something, and I really hope that we do. I'll be back in a minute. I'm enjoying this. I hope you are. Drop a... That's pretty much it. I mean, Jesse Lingard's a squad player. We want first team players. So push the envelope for Ozil. I think he's a possibility, and he's somebody I'd rank quite highly in the January transfer window. The next 2 players I want to talk about is an area that Manchester United do need to improve on. Midfield. We are desperately, desperately lacking in the midfield. I spoke about it in the summer. Not many people did want to talk about it, but some people did, and we are desperately short in the midfield. It's been highlighted so much with the loss of Pogba, with the loss of Fellaini, with the loss of a squad player like Carrick, that you're having to play Matic and Herrera week in, week out, and give a tall young lad like McTominay game time. He obviously doesn't want to use Twansebe there. He's let Fosu Mensah and Pereira go off on loan. In January, we need to sign a midfielder. And for me, there are 2 very, very good options that long term would give Manchester United a lot of stability and a good platform to build on, and they both can improve. But short term, I think they could come in and offer us a hell of a lot. One of them is Leander Dendoncker from Anderlecht. He's been linked to us for quite a while now. 22 years of age. I think he's 6'2½". He's literally, albeit in an Anderlecht side, but in Europe he's done quite well for them. He's got the lot. He's not slow. He's not super fast, but he's quick. He's got a good tackle on him. He's obviously tall and physical. He's good on the ball. He basically ticks all of the boxes, and he's very interested in coming to Manchester United. Being an Anderlecht player, we wouldn't have to pay silly money for him. I think anywhere between 20 and 30 million pounds we'd get him. Yes, he's still quite young at 22, but his career is about to take off. He's starting to get game time for Belgium. I could see him going to somewhere like Monaco or Spurs, and we'd miss the boat on him. I think Manchester United need to do a deal like that. I think he'd be more than happy to come to Manchester United and play second fiddle to the likes of Matic and Pogba and Herrera and Fellaini in the short term, but in the long term force his way in. And also, if we did face a situation in January, February, March where we lose a couple of the players like we have done now, he'd been more than capable of dropping in. So Dendoncker is a player that I think in January we should be going for, and he fits perfectly with the sort of January signing that we should be making, because maybe he's not the star player, but he's a player, you get him in January, you get him 6 months in before the summer, you ingratiate him into Manchester United, and then it's a deal that's already been done that you don't need to focus on in the summer, because as we all know, Ed Woodward and co can dawdle a little bit. So that's why I'd use January, mess things up. And Dendoncker's certainly a player I would go for. The second midfielder that I think would be really good, and I know it's going to divide opinion here, Ross Barkley. Oh, you've messed that up. You were so credible before. You're going to get a lot of stick for this. Ross Barkley. Oh, I've got to listen to more. I can almost hear your screams from here. Ross Barkley is a player that I think has got tremendous potential. He's only just about to turn 24. He's been out injured for most of this year, well, pretty much since the summer. He's going to be back playing for Everton probably early December time. He's out of contract next summer, much like Ozil. So in January, if he wants to go abroad, he can talk to clubs. But in the summer, he can go anywhere he wants for free. Everton won't get any money for him. He's always been quite strongly linked with Tottenham and a little bit Chelsea. But when he first burst on the scene as a teenager a few years ago, Mourinho was at Chelsea and Mourinho was strongly linked to him. So we know that Mourinho likes him. I like him. I think what he brings to us, he's 6'2" for people who don't know that. Mourinho's going to love him. He's quite quick for a midfielder. He's good at dribbling, and he's got a good delivery with his right foot. These are all things Manchester United need. He drives with the ball, he's powerful, and Manchester United need that from midfield. We've had the years of Carrick where he can hit a 40-50 yard pass accurately and you don't need to dribble when you've got that accuracy. We've got Matic, we've got Pogba, and I think if you put Barkley in there, Premier League proven, lots and lots of potential. If Jose, not tall enough, needs to be 6'5", Mourinho was to get hold of him and, you know, sort of iron out those creases. He can be a bit inconsistent. His final ball can go off. He can do silly shots and everything like that. If Mourinho can make him grow up, and Mourinho can do that, I think Ross Barkley in 2 years' time could be one of the best Premier League midfielders in the world. And he's available at a ridiculously cheap price. He's English, he's Premier League proven, and he's got a lot of the assets that if we got the best out of him would be massively improving for our team. The ability to get the ball and drive forward with passion and speed, to run at people, to get a shot off. I think we're missing a massive trick if we don't go for Ross Barkley, because I really do think he has got the potential. I know he's got creases. I know, he can be infuriating at times. But under the right manager, which I don't think he's had, I think Ross Barkley would be perfect for us. I'm not saying he'd play. I'm not saying he gets in the team ahead of Pogba. You're such a hypocrite, Goldbridge. You just love Mourinho. Get with the programme. But again, a bit like Dendoncker, bring him in. In fact, to be honest, I'd let Fellaini go in January. Yeah, because you're just a bloody Fellaini hater. We all know that. And get a final payday in his career, because he's 30, isn't he now? I'd bring Dendoncker and Barkley in with the money. If we can get any money or the wages saved, I think they'd be absolutely perfect for us. So, in relation to the January transfer window, I think we need midfielders, and I would really hope that we would go and get Dendoncker and Barkley, and hopefully do something around the number 10, because I think Mourinho will know, look, we do need a midfielder, but we also need a number 10 desperately. I think Zlatan will be given an opportunity there, but what if he breaks down again? If we can get Ozil in January, we should go and get him. If we can get Griezmann, definitely do that. But there are other areas for Manchester United that we need to look at as well. We know the flanks haven't been great. We know the ability down the left needs to improve. That's an understatement. We're rubbish! Whether it's getting forward or putting crosses into the box. Ashley Young is 32 and Valencia is more or less the same age. So we need to be looking progressively as well in relation to those positions. And when they get injured, part of Manchester United's big problem is people like Darmian and Blind, very loyal to the club, but are shit. Good players that you can drop in, but not really the quality that we need. We need better than that. Luke Shaw is a player that really saddens me, but it looks like he will leave Manchester United. I think we might see something absolutely unprecedented in recent years, and that is a swap deal. A swap deal involving Danny Rose and Messi, Luke Shaw. Danny Rose is contracted at Manchester United. Hopefully he will be contracted at Manchester United soon if you like him. He's contracted at Spurs for quite a significant period of time. I think it's 2021 or 2020, something like that. So to sign him with Daniel Levy as his chairman, I think we would probably have to pay about 50 million, considering that's what City played for Kyle Walker. I think Manchester United's bargaining chip on this has to be Fellaini, Shaw. Pochettino knows Luke Shaw from the Southampton days. Luke Shaw has been positive about Pochettino in the past. And, Luke Shaw's younger. He's got that potential. I think a swap deal is more or less the same thing, based on the fact that, yes, Danny Rose is playing better than Luke Shaw at the moment, but Luke Shaw is still young and has the potential. And I think Mourinho would gobble that up. I think he would gobble up the opportunity to get Danny Rose. Gobble. I think Danny Rose would like to move back up north, and I think Manchester United would suit him. And I think Luke Shaw would like to go back down south and working with... Ooh, that's what she said. Pochettino would suit him and Pochettino. So I think we could see an unprecedented thing where two big clubs swap players and it benefits them both. You know what? You're beautiful. Say this now. If Luke Shaw leaves Manchester United and goes to Spurs, I hope he's a rip-roaring success, and I hope he is the player that I believe he is. I don't think he's going to be that player under Mourinho. We'll never know why, but I would love to be proved right about Luke Shaw, that he is a top left-back and that we never got the best out of him. You won't be. You got it wrong about Matic, and no one's ever going to let you forget it. I'm resigned to the fact that he doesn't have a future at Manchester United. I would still love him to turn it around, but I'm resigned to the fact, and I'm fed up of moaning about it. I think he needs to go for his own good, and I would think Danny Rose for Luke Shaw would be a good deal for Manchester United. And again, I think that's a deal that could be done in January, because I think it benefits everybody. My only fly in the ointment is that swap deals don't really happen that much anymore. But in relation to that, it's not FIFA, Mark. This is real life. We don't do swap deals. It's real. I think it'd be exciting. I think it works for us. And it would solve a problem at left back that we need to solve. We need a quality, top class left back. And Luke Shaw was always going to be that player for me. And I think he still could be. But I don't think it's going to happen. And if we can use Luke Shaw in the nicest possible way to bring in somebody who is very good, then I would do that and I would bring Danny Rose in. For me, Alexandre for Juventus would be the left back I would go for. He's big, he's powerful, he's one of the best in the world. But best thing you've said all night. We're not going to get him done. We're not going to get him, and it's not going to happen in January. Prick tease. I think Manchester United, as I said, that's pretty much my theme for the show. We've got to do some business in January, and it can't just be like last year, business out the door. We need to use January. I think Manchester United still need another 4 or 5 players adding to this squad, and probably about £300 million spent. So if we can do some business in January that's economical and efficient, like a swap deal for Shaw, for Rose, that would solve us a problem. We also need to be looking at wingers. We do need to bring somebody in on the wing. If we brought Ozil in, he can go out on the left. If you brought Griezmann, he can as well. But I would like to see a specialist wide player coming in. And it may be a bit premature to talk about this, but Christian Pulisic from Dortmund, now you're talking, would be a player I'd be looking at. I don't know whether it could be done in January, to be honest, but the reason I mention him is because Borussia Dortmund are going to go out of the Champions League. They'll probably end up in the Europa League, but they're going out of the Champions League, which is a big disappointment for them. I tell you what, I've got to jump in here because I'm just reading the live comments, and I think the brilliance is that people are arguing about which is the live bit. I can't shorten my hair. The other bit cannot be the live bit. This has to be the live bit. I can't shorten my hair. It's an impossible thing to do. Pulisic, also America's rising star, America not in the World Cup. These are big indications that Pulisic may well become available at Dortmund. I've had to jump back in because Matthew McFadden's made a live comment. He says, as much as I like Shaw, it's time for him to go. Just another case of a world-class talent who never got quite over his injuries. It's a bit sad. It is, Matthew, and thanks for the contribution. Dortmund are going through a transitional period at the moment. They're not as successful as they were. Pulisic's family are Manchester United fans, and I think Pulisic, like Dembele, Ousmane Dembele, who went to Barcelona, will be one of the world stars. And I want to see Manchester United get hold of a future world star and put them into their team. We did it with Ronaldo, and I think with Pulisic, he's going to be the same sort of player. He can play on the right, but he's pretty much best on the left. If you saw him play for Dortmund against Spurs, he was absolutely fantastic at Wembley. And I think for Manchester United, he can be that as well. He's very young. He's still in his late teens, and he's still contracted till about 2020. But again, I think, you know, 30 to 40 million pounds, he's a player that you could bring in. I don't think he's a January signing, because I think bringing him in January, you want players to come in and make an impact, and I think he's more of a summer signing. But I think Manchester could sign him in March. Nobody ever signs anybody in March. United need to be very awake to that, and I think he will be an absolute superstar of the future, and he is a player that I would be looking to bring into Manchester United. So in relation to the January transfer window, we've got to do something. We have to do something, and I think them, of course, over the next 6 weeks and in January, there will be other players that I've not mentioned that may well become desirable sort of players for United, and I may well say, yes, let's 500 likes, come on, we're nearly there, let's go and get them. But predicting it now 6 weeks before it even opens, I think Mourinho said quite interestingly in August, I won't do any business in January apart from Zlatan, he'll be our one signing. That concerns me. Manchester United, you know, whether you like it or not, Manchester United need to be doing some really good business in the transfer window before next season to take us to that next step of progression. We cannot do it all in one summer when there's a World Cup. There's going to be a short period of time. The World Cup won't finish until like the middle of July. In the middle of August, the season's going to start. The World Cup's not going to finish this year. It's officially been announced by FIFA. It's going to run from summer 2017 until February 2025. Official. Most of our players are going to be on tour. We very rarely sign players when we're on tour. So signing players is going to be very difficult next summer. When you're Manchester United, and we're probably going to need a big, you know, a few players in and a few players out, it would be so poorly managed if we refuse to do business internally incoming in January. We've got to use it. You've got to use it. You might not get your star player in January. I know that's very difficult, but we've got to use it to get some of those players that will improve us, like the Dendonkers, like the Ross Barkleys. They're the two I would be really looking at. At least one of them coming in. We need to get a midfielder in. We need, you know, some exuberance in there, some potential in there, but some legs in there that if we get injuries like we've got at the moment, they can come in. In relation to players coming out of the door, and also, as I said, if we can twist Griezmann's arm to come and really hurt him, make him sign until he cries, we can get Ozil in with a cheeky 20 million bid for Arsenal, and they just take the money because they know they're going to lose him for free, we should definitely do it. And I must reaffirm, I think Griezmann will come to Manchester United. I don't believe this Barcelona story or Chelsea or Real Madrid. If Griezmann's the moral code player that he appears to be by staying at Atletico Madrid, then surely that moral code will repeat itself by the patience Manchester United have shown in waiting for him, and the fact that that number 7 shirt has been kept vacant is a massive hint as well. Griezmann will be a United player as far as I'm concerned. As far as people going out the door in January, I think Luke Shaw, potentially, if we can do a swap deal with Spurs. Anybody else going out the door in January in this whole Mourinho's got to sell before he can buy? I think Matteo Darmian's going to leave Manchester United. He's got to go. Whether he goes in January is another matter. He very nearly went in the summer. He wants to go back to Italy. He's not getting much game. It's Italian time. Darmian still gets in the Italian squad. He will want to go back to Italy. Whether that happens in January or not, I don't know. But if we could get £20 million for him, I'd do it. So Darmian could go. Daley Blind, similarly, I mean, he's not going to a World Cup because Holland didn't make it. So he's probably not going to push it in January. He's on decent wages. And Daley Blind's a good utility player. But Daley Blind is probably another player who will move on in the summer. Play him as a centre defensive midfielder. Centre-backs wise, we do need to get rid of the centre-back when you think about the fact we've got Rojo, Bailly, Smalling, Jones, Lindelof, Antoine Seaby. I think Lindelof's not going anywhere. I don't think Phil Jones will go anywhere. So maybe Lindelof's not a centre-back. He's just on a work experience for 30 million. Maybe Smalling might be surplus to requirements, although I think he's been quite good. De Gea's the interesting one. De Gea ain't going to stay here if we have a... That's the worst joke you've ever done. I wish I could edit that season like some people are predicting we are. De Gea's been very, very patient at Manchester United. We've not been great for the last 4 years, and he's been a mainstay and player of the year for most of that as well. So De Gea will look to move, I think, if Manchester United aren't making serious progress. There's talk of a De Gea for a Varane deal, which makes no sense to me because Varane can't play in goal. Why would you give up the world's best goalkeeper for one of the world's best centre-backs when you've got loads of centre-backs? It doesn't make any sense to get Varane. I think that's paper talk. But I think De Gea next summer will be a deal of him leaving that we're all very concerned about. Anybody else leaving in January is very difficult to predict. Ed Woodward. I do have concerns about Mata and Herrera. I don't actually know what's going on there. But the Spanish mark, stop being racist. I do think Herrera is sort of slipping into form, which I always defended him for, but it's just not happening. He's not hitting the heights of last year. There's these concerns about contracts and everything like that. Did he say De Gea? Idiot. Herrera's all heart, but at the moment his ability is a bit inconsistent, and I think that Herrera could be on his way out of Manchester United next summer as well. And Mata, I think, will move on as well. Not, you know, through no bad feelings. I just think Mata will move on, and that would get rid of maybe 5 or 6 players there for Manchester United. So get commenting below, give us your thoughts. I mean, it really is about the January transfer window. That's what I'm talking about and what we can do. Do you think we'll do anything? Part of me thinks we might do nothing, but I can't for the life. That's because you're negative. Let me understand why not. We cannot allow this January transfer window to slip by when we know we still need a lot of business to do. So at least get a couple in. Hopefully get a couple out the door. My tips would be Luke Shaw out for Danny Rose, Darmian out, and we use some of that money to get Dendoncker or Barkley. That would be an improvement. And then hopefully maybe chuck a £20 million bid in for Ozil and get him in, or even go for Griezmann. Get it done early. I think we've got to use it. We've got to use it. I hope we do use it, because next summer's going to be very, very hard to get everything done with the World Cup, and you can't refuse a transfer window. You can't refuse one. You can just not buy anybody. You're lying. You're a hypocrite. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thanks everybody for watching. Please do drop a like. I know it's not the normal show with the live comments and everything like that. Trust me, it's been fantastic. But we are back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with a Skype show where you can all call in. I know a lot of people are passionate about Mourinho in and out. Call in, call in. We all know it's scripted. At the moment, I can't believe that's a thing. But you can also talk to us about the transfers and everything like that. I wanted to do something a little bit different tonight to try and give a bit of positivity. No, you wanted to go out to the cinema and it didn't work out. So now you've had to do something a little bit funny to make a boring pre-record relevant. See, instead of just going on and on about Mourinho and Manchester United. So please do drop a like and give us your comments below in relation to what your thoughts are on January and transfers. Who do you think the players are that are going to leave United? Are any going to go? I think some of us believe they should. And who do you think is going to come in? Get commenting. Thanks for watching. And if you are new, don't forget to subscribe to the United Stand. I'll speak to you very soon. Blah, blah, blah. Boring. Anyway, back to me. Thanks everybody if you watched. It was something a little bit different. It was a pre-record tonight, but things didn't go to plan. So I did have a bit of live time. So I did throw it up and we did have a bit of fun. And if people stayed till the end, hopefully you have enjoyed it. But in all seriousness, I think January is a very serious transfer window for Manchester United. If I'm doing percentages, I'm 70% sure that we'll do nothing in January. But as I said in that pre-record, we do need to do something. We can't refuse this transfer window. We've got the summer, we've got the World Cup. We will be going on tour pretty much when the World Cup ends. We probably need to bring another 4 players in. It's going to be very, very difficult. We had a whole summer just gone and we struggled to get 3 in. You know, we're going to get about 4 weeks tops next summer, and I think we need to get 4 in at least. So we can't refuse January. Very hard in January to do a big deal. Very hard to do a Griezmann. But what is possible potentially is an Ozil or a Sanchez. Realistically, a Dendoncker, a Danny Rose or a Ross Barkley. And I think there's 5 players there. Griezmann, Ozil, Barkley, Dendoncker, Danny Rose. 5 players there that would drastically improve us. If we could get 4 of that 5, I'd be ecstatic. I'm not saying we're going to get any of them in January. I'd be really happy to get 2. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. We did mix it up for you. You know I hate pre-records, so it actually worked quite well to do it a little bit live. So thanks everyone for watching. You've been fantastic. Tomorrow night we will be doing a Skype show, and I can just confirm to everybody in the live comments, it's not scripted, it's live. How can it be scripted when we're saying Skype Goldbridge, you Skype in, we take your call? I was joking. I was winding myself up. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, Skype Goldbridge, call in, give us your thoughts. We're back. But thanks everyone tonight. It was a bit of fun that. I'm tempted to do it again. I am very tempted to do it again because I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll speak to you all very soon.